The Gloucester Park Preview is proudly presented by Retrovision. Our panel of experts will dissect the Premier Harness race meeting of the week and hopefully find the winners. Retrovision, lowest prices guaranteed. RAC members save an extra 5% every day at Retrovision.
All right, Taylor Courtland with you, sitting in for Matt Young, who I believe is trying to work out his 7-iron on the golf course at the moment. Joined by Trent Cooper. Trent, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Taylor. Good morning, listeners. Yeah, interesting program tonight. Some good horses going around and some difficult races to assess.
Absolutely. Looks the middle part of the program looks very competitive. Glen, good morning to you.
Good morning, Taylor, and good morning, boys and listeners. Yes, look, the Derby preview tonight. Cutthroat, first to three to qualify, which could well knock out horses that are already in the rankings. So that's worth remembering for the Derby prelude tonight. You've got the 4-year-old classic, $125,000 race. Group 2, we've got the free-for-all, Big Clash, Norma's Daughter Prelude as well, Golden Ticket as well there.
All right, and Ollie County, good morning to you.
Morning, Taylor. It's a really good card of racing tonight. There's some nice horses going around, so looking forward to getting stuck into it.
Absolutely, and we'll waste no time getting our first guest on the line. Emily Suvaljko joins us on the Gloucester Park Preview. Emily, a very good morning to you as well.
Good morning, guys.
Emily, first up, Heavenly Gypsy, I suppose all your chances depend if you can cross Artie by the Seaside at the start. Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, Artie's pretty quick out, so I'm not entirely sure that we'd be able to cross her. Obviously, 4's a very awkward draw for us, so yeah, we're going to have a tough task, that's for sure.
Yeah, good morning, Emily, and happy birthday for last week. How was it, the celebration?
Thank you. Yeah, it was good. Just had a couple of nights going out for dinner and that, which was very good, and then Penny was able to give me a win on the Friday night.
Can she give you a win tonight, Penny Black?
Hopefully. She's racing really well, and obviously full advantage. We're drawn inside Mr. Smarty, so we'll be looking to hold that advantage.
How do you see it playing inside? You've got a bit of speed there. Armour X Factor comes out. You'd imagine number 1 and number 2, so if Esperlinda will want to kick up, high price, maybe kick up to get that position, maybe even to sit on Penny Black. So there could be a bit going on there with those three.
Yeah, there could be a bit of speed early. X Factor, I think they'll definitely look to push the button. Wasn't entirely sure whether they would be looking to hand up or not, but yeah, as I said, we'll be holding our advantage on Mr. Smarty, so if we can't find the front, we'll be sending Mr. Smarty packing.
Good on you.
In race 5, you've got one that's probably going to go around a bit of a bigger price in Blaze Away. How do you see that race playing out early?
Yeah, it looks really hard from the draw, but his last 2 runs, I've been really happy with the way he's got to the line. Would really like to see him draw in this sort of company because I think you can measure up to him. He's a really good horse when he leads, but that doesn't really seem possible tonight.
Little Happy Fellow in race 7, drawn barrier 7. Form's okay. Is this a race where there could be a lot of pace on and could be a blowout chance at big odds?
Yeah, and he's that sort of horse as well. He has a really good 400 kick on him, so we'll just look to slot him in. Obviously, the harder they go, the better suited to him, and hopefully we can be the one coming home the best. And
Emily, Lincoln Lou, you're going to send your opposition packing here with Lincoln Lou. Very good gate speed. The opportunity tonight to use that again?
Yeah, obviously last week we used it and then we got held up over the concluding stages. But he was very fast out and he actually seemed to relax as well, which was a big benefit for him. So, yeah, he should look to find the front and it's definitely a drop in class for him.
27.28 and 28.36 home and seemed to have plenty left.
Yeah, he pretty much went to the line untouched, so really happy with the way he's going. He just needs that ounce of luck.
All right, Emily, if you were to tip the listeners into one tonight, that might be your best winning chance. Who would it be?
Yeah, Lincoln Lou definitely will be, but we'll be able to see the best of Penny Black tonight, and hopefully she's another one.
All the best.
Thank you.
There's Emily Suvaljko taking a look at her drives, not too far away from catching up with Glen Mortimer as well, but we'll take a look at the form for race number 1 at Gloucester Park. 10 races on the program, kicking off at 18 minutes past 5. We touched on the 2 key chances there. Artie by the Seaside at $1.16, Heavenly Gypsy at $4.60, Rackloo 15 and Princess Katie at $17.26 and up the remainder of the field. How do we start the night, Trent?
Yeah, with a shorty, I think, Hardy by the Seaside. Heavenly Gypsy's a good beginner, a very good beginner, but I went back through the form. Hardy by the Seaside's led from barrier 1 all the time. The only time she didn't is when she was first up and Steno drew 2 or 3, and even then I'm not sure that it couldn't have held if Denny wanted to. So expect for her to do enough. She's a very good mare, as we know, and in front, she'll be winning. Heavenly Gypsy's the danger, but she might not be the Cornella, if that makes sense. If she crosses, she'll run a really big race. If she doesn't cross, she could be in a little bit of trouble. So that's going to be the query. Possibility she could get in behind her. Shannon Suvaljko with Princess Katie be pretty keen to hold that position, but Heavenly Gypsy in for second. Number 9 in, we'll find out how good Racklew is tonight. You find out how good they are in defeat. Won't be getting things easy, but she looks a very promising mare. Looking forward to seeing what she can do. And Princess Katie's a really good place chance if it can hold the pole markers back. 1, 4, 9 and 2.
Beautiful. Glenn?
Yeah, it would be interesting that Heavenly Gypsy might want to open up that gap, as you're suggesting, Trent, and get in behind the Hearts stablemates there. And they may try and get that spot behind Artie by the Seaside. Doesn't map well for Racklew. In terms of if Artie by the Seaside gets a comfortable lead, then the worst place to be in harness racing when you've got a very good favourite leading and running a sizzling last half and you've got to chase it. Never works out that well, but if there's pressure and Heavenly Gypsy did cause some issues, that does create a chance for Racklew, but I don't think it maps all that well. I'm just going to play the map in terms of the rail, 1, 2, 3 and 4, Artie by the Seaside, Princess Katie, Akara Navajo, Heavenly Gypsy. I'm not too sure whether Heavenly Gypsy can get that spot, but I'm going 1, 2, 3 and 4 in race 1.
I have similar thoughts to both of you here. I do think that Artie by the Seaside, I think she can do enough to lead, and therefore she's going to be incredibly hard to beat in this race. If Heavenly Gypsy was to cross, then she'd become the horse to beat, but it probably doesn't look likely on paper. Heavenly Gypsy, she still is quite a high-quality horse, and I think she does have the class to go about this a few different ways, and if she is left off the pegs and was able to obtain some cover, I think she'd still be dangerous. Princess Katie's going to get a really good run in this race. She was a good winner 2 starts ago. She tracked up a really good speed on the pegs there and was too good for Sweet Vivian late. So I think getting that really soft run, she's got to be included. And I included Exceptional Armour, who is first up for Dylan Edgerton Green in this race and trialled quite nicely there at Pinjarra. So I don't really know how it pans out from that wide draw, but I think she's a horse with enough class to figure in a race like this if she gets the right run. 1, 4, 2, 6.
That's for Ollie. Nice and easy to follow along with Glen in race number 1, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then Trent with 1, 4, 9 and 2 in race number 1 at Gloucester Park.
On the Retrovision Gloucester Park preview, it is time for a Retrovision update with Glen Mortimer.
Good morning to you, Morts.
Morning, Taylor. Good morning, listeners. How are we?
Going very, very well. How's everything going with the Retrovision?
Yeah, excellent. We have a big weekend at Retrovision this weekend. We have 20% off TVs, big screens, small screens, all types of screens. Samsung, LG, TCL and Hisense. Plus we have 10% off white goods and coffee machines. And remember, RAC members will still receive an additional 5% every day at Retrovision.
Good time for the deal too. You can get in there and get it for the Cox Plate tomorrow, and then also Melbourne Cup Week coming up. Nice big screen. No talking trots yesterday, Glenn, but are we back next week?
Yes, we certainly are. We been a bit busy in the lead up to Black Friday, so we'll be back next week with the running of the WA Derby, of course, next Friday. So looking forward to that.
Lovely, absolutely. All right, give us a quiz question, please.
Okay, Who Am I? Foaled in 2016. I won 16 from 79 starts, including the Group 2 San Simeon Pace, the Binshaw, Ray Duffy Memorial and the Media Guild Cup, just to name a few.
All right, beautiful. Looking around the table, you've got Trent stumped at the moment, so well done, Glenn. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll chat next week.
Have a great weekend.
Retrovision, lowest prices guaranteed. RAC members save an extra 5% every day at Retrovision.
Still puzzled, Trent?
Yeah, give me a few minutes, but nothing jumps out straight away.
All right.
Which is a good good sign for
Not many
Lords.
starts there, only 79, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty good record. Then obviously didn't make it through to the top class. We're presuming through injury, but we'll have a look and get back to you within 3 minutes, give me.
All right, 3 minutes. It's 8:18 at the moment. Race number 2 at Gloucester Park. Taking a look at the form here. In market order, $2.50 Charivari, $3.10 Rumble Strip. Captains have time at $6. Runkle Crunch at $6. Mad Monday at $12. $13 about Control the Room, $18 and up the remainder of the field. This is a 3-year-old WA Derby preview. Race number 2 on the program. What are the talking points here, Glenn?
Big talking point here, Taylor, is first to third qualifiers for next week's Derby. So if you're out of the rankings, you can push your way through, and that makes some nervous runners who are in the rankings, maybe 10, 11, 12, getting a little bit nervous, and they need to make sure they run a race here as well. Look, create some intrigue. Charivari out of the rankings at the moment, I think. The last rankings I saw anyway, out of the rankings, did win since that, I think. So might have elevated up a touch, but it needs to run top 3 here. I sort of see Charivari probably wanting to lead here. Rumble Strip outside the leader, and Runkle Crunch more than likely behind the leader. Perhaps Mad Monday, Controller Room 1-1. I'm leading to Runkle Crunch. If Runkle Crunch can get a clear run here, and it's ranked 6 in the ranking, so it's in a comfortable spot. Ran 27.34, 27.96 last week. And if it got clear any earlier, it would have been very dangerous. It'll be dangerous here if it can get out. I'm leading 10 to win from 1 Charivari. Got the hood on. There'll be plenty of intent there with Jack Callaghan to lead, you would think. And it'll take some running down if it can settle nicely in front. 10 from 1, the 4 Rumble Strip will be outside the leader, I think. 10, 1, 4, and the 3 I'll put in Mad Monday to be one of the ones just sitting just there, ready to run on. 10, 1, 4, and 3.
I thought this was a really interesting race, this one, and Charavari's gone up a really short price for a horse that's probably stepping up a long way in grade into this race. He was very good last start, and it was a much better effort, so has to be respected. He does have the draw, but I was happy to be with Rumble Strip, who's been really impressive this time in. He's been forced to do the work a number of times and has proved too good, still in pretty good time as well. So I think he can do that again here. If they roll along, it certainly opens it up for a few other horses, but given he's going to be up there on speed and he's proven he can do it that way, I think he's going to be hardest to beat in this race. Runkle Crunch, as Glenn mentioned, if this horse does get into the clear, it's going to be incredibly hard to hold out. He was much, much better last start, and he looks like a horse that's getting better each run. So he could be ready to peak in this race. Charivari, I have included him in for third. If he is able to rate things nicely out in front, not get too keen, I think he can be hard to beat, but he is stepping up a long way in grade. And I've got Control of the Room in for fourth, who I think has been going much better than his form suggests. He was a good third there a few starts ago behind Cyclone Geordie, and I think that's the best form you can get for the 3-year-old boy. So I think from a good drawer, he can figure at a decent each way price. 4, 10, 1, 2.
Beautiful. Trent?
Yeah, no, I'm with Charivari. I thought is a horse I really liked last campaign, and then he didn't quite produce his best. And then first up, he was just plain, but I thought he was very impressive second up. There's still some question marks if he can handle a bit of pressure out in front, but I've liked him as a horse, and I'm going to stick with him, and I won't be surprised if he leads and actually wins this. Not by a big margin, but might win it reasonably comfortably. He also won't surprise me if he crumbles under pressure. So we'll find out more. But on top, Runkle Crunch is really good each way chance from that draw. Hit the line nicely last start. Was very unlucky if he had got it earlier. Rumble Strip's the one who could sort of control the race from the breeze. I thought that's where he'd likely be. And Captains Have Time. We just said it was working up to. She was working up to that win and was very impressive last start. Had to really burn early to find the front to catch the mobile, and then was an impressive winner. Takes on the boys here. Need a little bit of luck from the draw, but racing well enough. 1, 10, 4 and 7.
That's for Trent in the WA Derby preview. Oli, 4, 10, 1 and 2. Glen, 10, 1, 4 and 3 in race number 2. Race 3 on the program over the 21.30. Wide open affair, $3 Sweet Pins, $3.60 Long Reach Bay, $5.50 Hillview Bondi, $6.50 Sweet Lucifer and $8.50 Gate Crasher, 16 and up the remainder of the field in a pretty much wide open betting affair. How do we play this race, Ollie?
I thought this was a really tricky race, and I've got Sweet Lucifer on top, who has been terrific his last couple of starts. He took on a much stronger race there last start, and he was able to prove too good. Got a bit of a query on Sweet Pins in this race. Certainly his best is good enough, and there's some pretty big raps on him from the stable, but he's probably been he was a little bit disappointing his last couple, so just happy to take him on at the short price, but respect he is one of the classier horses. Sweet Lucifer, I'm happy to be with him. He can do it a few different ways, and he showed that 2 starts ago when he was able to run on from back in the field, and then last start he led all the way. So Longreach Bay, whether he can cross or not, I'm not too sure. It's probably not a front line with a huge amount of gate speed there, but if he was able to cross, he'd certainly become the horse to beat. I think this is probably a little bit easier than some of the races he's been taking on in recent starts, and we know he's a different horse when he gets out in front, so has to be respected. And then I've got Arian Rock in there for 4th, who I think gets an okay draw, and he's just a massive price. I think he's going much better than that, and his win 4 starts ago was good enough to figure in a race like this in the minor money, and I think he can add some value. 6, 4, 8, 3.
6, 4, 8 and 3 for Ollie. Trent.
Yeah, it'll be a race of differing in opinions because it's not an easy race to assess. Longreach Bay, for me, I thought he could lead. He's only got one chance of winning, and that is to lead. So it'd be interesting, though, for Sweet Lucifer. Sweet Pins hasn't shown a lot of gate speed, but how much there is underneath him. I've gone with Hillview Bondi on top. He was a lot better price. If there's a quick lead time and they come up for air and he can get to the breeze, he'll run a big race. There's a few ifs in that statement. That's why I'd prefer a better price on the 550, but he was close to double figures. And on an each-way basis, I thought he could run a really good race with those things happening. If Longreach Bay crosses quickly, I think Hillview Bondi is out of play, but Longreach Bay will be extremely hard to beat. So at the price available, I thought those two weren't a bad way to go. Longreach Bay for 2nd. Sweet Lucifer racing really well and steps up in class, but just the trajectory is really good for this horse coming back from injury. I think he can run a good race. And Sweet Pins, I've got a lot of respect for the horse, but I agree with Ollie. I think he's come up a little bit short in the market. 12, 8, 6 and 4.
All right, Glen.
Yeah, Longreach Bay, $13 into 360. It's been a big move. I think it'll lead. Sweet Lucifer's probably the only stumbling block there if it really lets loose and tries with a lot of intent to get across. I'm sure there'll be some intent. It ran 155.2 last start, very impressive. It had the ace draw though, of course, but beat a good field, and that time is very good. I think Longreach Bay might get there, which plays into what you're talking about, Trent, with if they burn, there's a back off, then Hillview Bondi goes. And I think that could happen as well. I'm going to lean to Sweet Lucifer because I think he's got a bit of versatility there. Doesn't have to lead to win. Could lob a position. And the 8, Longreach Bay, the leader, I think, will be cheeky and hard to run down if it can get across quickly without doing too much. I've gone 6, 8. Put the 4 in. Sweet Pins could lob a position there somewhere handy. And the 12, the one you've mentioned, Hillview Bondi, if they go too hard early and back off, he's outside the leader, he'll take some holding out. 6, 8, 4 and 12.
That's for Glen. Ollie with 6, 4, 8 and 3, and Trent with 12, 8, 6 and 4 in race number 3.
Got another clue for the...
Yeah.
I've got...
There's a couple of guesses, but they're all different.
They're all
horses.
different.
Yeah.
Morts was sneaky as usual. He left out this horse's best win.
Okay.
So he won a good race and also finished 2nd in a Freo Cup.
Sort of Group 1.
It was a Group 1 that he won. Yeah, he's been a bit sneaky.
He named
there.
a couple of Group 2s.
Yeah,
I'll see what he does.
Yep.
Yeah, righto. Okay. Race number 4, the free-for-all, 21.30. The distance, Mr. Smarty at $1.55. Penny Black's at $2.50. $7 about Captain Ravishing. 34 and up, the remainder headed by Armour X Factor from gate 7. Trent, $1.55. Yes or no, Mr. Smarty?
I'm going to tip him, but I'm going to say no to $1.55 if that's okay. We'll wait for him to drift out a little bit more.
Thanks, Trent.
My first thought was, I like Penny Black because she's drawn inside of him and she's got to make it really hard. But the more I assess this race, I think Penny Black's going to have to do a bit to get there. And I wouldn't be surprised if Stu actually just keeps his powder dry, even if it is out 3 wide for a while she's sort of chasing up the speed, because The rail's obviously going to be keenly contested. High price like to get there, so Vespolina would like to hold it out. There'll be others going forward. Instigator could go forward. Armour X Factor, I think, will definitely go forward. I wouldn't be surprised if Armour X Factor had designs on the front as well. So because of that, it might not be as easy as I first thought for Penny Black, so I'm going to go with Mr. Smarty. He's a very good horse. There's been nothing wrong. His last 2 runs in particular, well, last 3, I thought he's been very good, and I expect him to be hard to beat. From Penny Black, if she can find the top without doing too much work, she's going to run all sorts of time and make it hard to beat. I'm just a little bit concerned that she might run a quicker lead time in first quarter than what she's had to do recently. But she's definitely in for second. If they go hard, both of them, then Captain Ravishing can cause a minor upset. Did the same recently when it beat Mr. Smarty and Hotly Pursued. Last start didn't work out for it and it was disappointing, but that horse can do that. He's either up there or if things aren't going his way, he can spit the dummy and he can bounce back quickly. In for third. An Armour X Factor, if he doesn't have to do too much work to get across and it can either force his way to the lead or possibly map 1-1 on the back of the 2 favourites, he can be a place chance at odds. 9, 8, 12 and 7.
All right, that's for Trent. Glen?
Yeah, look, $34 Armour X Factors. If it did happen to lead, it's probably not a bad little throwaway bet, if you want to call it that. If you think that it can cause the boil over, it's probably the one. $34. I think it's going to be a significant player here in regards to what happens in the result of the race, regardless, between Mr. Smarty and Penny Black. And because Armour X Factor's a go-forward horse, usually driven with some aggression, and may even work its way to the front. That's why I'm looking at it and can be cheeky at $34. If somebody wants to play, I've gone Mr. Smarty. I think there's plenty of action there. It's a tricky little setup for both Emily and Stewie McDonald as well in terms of how this plays out. But I think Mr. Smarty's got plenty up his sleeve in terms of his versatility, and he'll get forward at some point and apply pressure, and I think he may get the job done. 9 from 8. Big respect, Penny Black. If it was able to forge its way to the front, it'll take some running down. If it's outside the leader, we've heard what Emily said, and unsurprisingly, she's thrown out the challenge to say, you can stay there, Stewie. I've gone 9, 8, 7 Armour X Factor as the bolter, and the 12 Captain Ravishing. Lindsay put his hand up last week saying that he shouldn't have gone. He intended to sit it up and run home. Better suited that way. This sort of action that we're talking about on here, Captain Ravishing could be getting home strongly. 9, 8, 7 and 12.
As Trent suggested, I do think Mr. Smarty's a little bit short given that tricky setup, but I do still have him on top. He's clearly the class runner in this field, and I think he's going to be hard to beat no matter how it's run. Penny Black, she's definitely going to try her best to punch through, and if she was able to find the front cheap enough, she'd be incredibly hard to run down, and I think in that scenario, she would nearly be the horse to beat. But there are definitely a few underneath which might try and push forward and make her life hard in the early stages. And I think one of those is actually racing quite well and much better than his numerical form, his high price. I think he's a horse that can probably get on the front end here in the early stages, and then from there, he has options from there. On the rails previously, he's been able to run quite good time. So I think if he is able to find the lead and then sit on the right horse, he could certainly be one that figures at a bit of a price in this race. I've included Captain Ravishing in this race, but he was terrible there last week. And the run before that, he probably did get things all his way. He was in the 1-1. The 2 leaders went at each other, and he was just able to get over the top late. So I probably have a little bit of a query on that. But he does meet an easier race here, so has to be respected, and his best is certainly good enough. 9, 8, 2, 12.
That's for Oli. Glen with 9, 8, 7 and 12, and Trent, same numbers, slightly different order. 9, 8, 12 and 7 in race number 4 at Gloucester Park tonight.
You are listening to the Gloucester Park Preview, proudly presented by Retrovision. Retrovision, lowest prices guaranteed. RAC members save an extra 5% every day at Retrovision.
All right, welcome back to the Gloucester Park Preview. We're up to race number 5 on the program, the 4-year-old classic, the Group 2, the feature on the night, 21.30 the journey. Just call me Mickey at 2.80 is the favourite. $4 about Bettles Pride. I'm Lightning Banner at $5.50. Golden Load at $6, $15 and up the remainder. Menencha, Copycat Queen and Wave Rider all at that quote. What are we thinking here, race number 5, Glen?
Yeah, we just had a debate off air about whether Bettor's Pride gets the lead off I'm Lightning Banner. Mike Reid was on the radio the other day with you, Taylor, and Digby very upbeat about attacking for the lead, as you would probably expect Mike to say. He wants to lead and run along, trying to entice Dylan into taking the sit, I would imagine. Dylan, in this situation, did burn out last start, did take the sit, but had to burn to get there. 2,100 here. I'll be waiting for the interviews before I bet here tonight. But I'm gut feeling that Dylan might want to give this horse its chance. $125,000 race. It's racing pretty well on Lightning Banner. It appears to be getting to its peak form. I'm just thinking maybe they'll take the odds to it and try and control this race. 2,100, 1 to win. 10 Golden Load if it can keep its back. There might be some hope, boys, Bettor's Pride getting him behind the leader if Golden Load can't quite kick up. It did draw 10 a few starts ago. I don't know whether there's a lot of intent there in that start for Golden Load to stay there. I think he wanted to get off.
Intent tonight to
a lot more
that,
intent because it's a prime position. But, having said that, Shannon's probably got two-pronged situation. If you come out hard, you might be able to create that spot. I'm leaning to Golden Load just to hold that spot, 1 from 10. 12, Just Call Me Mickey, obviously very classy horse, won the 4-year-old Classic at Pinjarra. Very awkward draw. Has to come off the track here. Way better horse when it's on the rail or up on the pace. Difficult task from 12, but it's got the class to get into, particularly if that early burn occurs. And Bettor's Pride, I don't want to leave Copycat Queen out because if there's a war, she'll be thundering home and could get the card up by Just Call Me Mickey. But given the fact it could be the leader, Bettor's Pride, I'll throw it in. 1, 10, 12 and 2.
Yeah, I've played this on the basis that Bettor's Pride would get the lead off I'm Lightning Banner, but the money certainly doesn't suggest that. Bettor's Pride is a big drifter and I'm Lightning Banner has been well backed. So I think maybe the market's suggesting that I'm Lightning Banner will look to lead all the way, but I do think Bettor's Pride was really good last start, copped all that pressure at the start, copped it through the middle, and I thought was still a pretty good effort to be battling away on the turn. And certainly if he was able to lead in this race, I think he'd be winning 2,100. Probably suits a little bit better than that 2,500 metre journey. I'm Lightning Banner was really good in that race last week, was held up, and then once he got clear, he really powered to the line there, and maybe if he got out a little bit sooner, he nearly would have won the race. So has to be respected whether he's leading or behind the leader. Think he's going to be hard to beat. Just Call Me Mickey, certainly going to be suited if there is a bit of an early burn in this race. He could then get around to the breeze, and from there I think he'd be pretty hard to beat, but he's a classy horse, and I think in this race he certainly has to be respected no matter how it plays out early. And I've got Manemshire in there for fourth. Was an upset winner 3 starts ago in probably a pretty strong race, so I think he can definitely stack up in this field if there's a bit of speed on. He can be running on late. I'd certainly want to include Golden Load though. If the one was to hold up at the start, he's going to get a great run. 2, 1, 12, 3.
2, 1, 12 and 3. Trent?
Yeah, key to the race is these interviews. I thought, when I did the form, I thought it would definitely sit on Lightning Banner. He has led and won, but they've been in races that he's sort of been able to dictate in and just sprint home. He's also been beaten in sort of similar things. So I thought in this company he would sit, and if he sat, I think they'd run 1, 2. But if they lead, I think it's going to be a completely different race because there'll be pressure. I think just into that scenario, there'll be a quick lead time, and then Just Call Me Mickey, I expect to make a move to the breeze, and it'll be different. So 2 ways to take it. Probably take 2 lots of trifectas, one with the 1, 2 to Quinella race and one with them both to miss, because I think that's probably a likely scenario. I'm going to put Bettor's Pride on top, with the hope that he does find the top. But if he doesn't, I'm going to throw in the bond pair of Just Call Me Mickey and Golden Load. They'll be suited for sure if the pole marker does hold up. And I'm throwing in the pole marker on the basis that it does sit. I don't want to be on it if it does lead in this company with the likely pressure, but I could be proven wrong. I've gone 2, 12, 10 and 1.
With Ollie's 2, 1, 12 and 3 and Glen's 1, 10, 12 and 2. The quiz answer, Trent?
Patronus Star.
Yes, correct.
So actually went to America. Didn't have a lot of starts in America, so I presume unfortunately might have got injured over there, but very good horse and run some cracking races in good company.
Won a WA Derby.
Won the WA Derby.
Yep.
Second in the Fremantle Cup to Minstrel, beating home the likes of Magnificent Storm and Chicago Bull.
Well done to Sarah, who will get that $100 Retrovision voucher, or $50. I think I might have sold Glen up the path there, but anyway, hopefully
it's virtually worth 100 because it's Black Friday.
Not your money.
Because it's Black Friday, so you save
exactly, yeah. And, interest, and it gets on top of it and the way the prices are going. Race number 6 there at Gloucester Park tonight. Frisky Sticks at $3.20. The Wand Waver at $4.60. Me Flash at $5. Matty Rocks at $7.50. York Race at $8.50. $11 about Cover Note and upwards. You speak about, Glenn, the interview with Mike Reedy was very keen on the each-way price of Cover Note at $11 and $3 yesterday morning on the Sports Daily. But, Ollie, how do you play this race?
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky race, this one. Frisky Sticks, he's a real standout on class. I think he looks the hardest to beat, but Gate 9 over the short journey just makes it a really, really tricky setup for him. And he's a horse in the past that has probably been a little bit disappointing at times. We know he's got great ability, but he hasn't always put it all together. So I'm happy to put him on top, but I'm probably not happy to back him at the 320 quote at the moment. Sugar Street has been racing quite well recently and was a really good effort there last start. Certainly Gate 8 is going to be tricky for a horse that's probably best when sat up and safe for one run. So he'd definitely be hoping there's a bit of speed in the early stages, which I certainly think there could be. Me Flash, I think if this horse was able to find the front, he'd be incredibly hard to run down. He's a horse that grows a leg when able to get out in front. And I think that's a realistic possibility. He's probably not a horse with brilliant gate speed, but he's got okay gate speed. And if he was able to work the front, I can see him being very hard to beat. And the Wand Waver is going well at the moment. Probably another tricky draw here in 6. If it was able to get forward and find a good position, I certainly could see it figuring in the money somewhere. 9, 8, 3, 6.
9, 8, 3 and 6. Trent.
Frisky Sticks hasn't been placed in 2025. It's had 2 campaigns, both disappointing. Barrier 9, 1,700. I'm going to tip it.
Best bet.
I've given all the negatives. The trial was super. He has got the ability. I must admit I'd want a lot better price than what's on offer at the moment because of those reasons I've just given. But he is a class horse, and if Aidan DeCampo has got him back, which the trial indicated, he can win. But there's a few knocks against him. Me Flash, I thought if he could bully his way to the front, would be extremely hard to beat. And even then, Frisky Sticks at its best might trouble to catch Me Flash, but I think Me Flash probably has to lead to win. Put it in for second. The 6th, the Wand Waver, racing really well for Gary Jones and Kellen Suvaljko driving. Got to some gate speed and get into a spot. And then throwing in Matty Rocks, who has been really consistent. I think it's been placed in 8 out of its last 9 now and broke through last start. So it's amazing when that happens, they can go on with it. 9, 3, 6 and 2.
Beautiful. Glen?
Yeah, look, I'm taking the punt that Me Flash can get across here. Hit it on the backside. Aggressive driver, Shane Steele. The one horse, Matty Young's horse, Riverview's got the speed to kick up and will want to sit. The Matty Rocks might want that spot, but Riverview's a very fast beginner. I think he'll retain that position. And there's a good chance Me Flash can hold the horses to its outside. And Wand Waver's got a bit of speed, Joey James. Mike Reed's pushed up Cover Note. Not sure how they're going to drive it. But I've got Me Flash maybe getting the lead and being very cheeky around the $5 or $6 mark. Put on top to beat the classy one. Frisky Sticks, obviously, if it turns up at its best. The trial was good for sure. 3 from 9, 10, Your Grace. Bit of a smoky, probably 3 back the fence. If it can get out, could be dangerous. Been running on well. And 6, the Wand Waver, racing terrifically well. Not out of it. 3, 9, 10 and 6.
That's for Glenn. Ollie's with 9, 8, 3 and 6, and Trent's with 9, 3, 6 and 2. Morts did text in. It is $100. Second guess myself, but well done, Sarah. Race number 7, and the favourite here at 3.10 is Wall Street Girl. $4.40, Her Presence. Relatively Armour at $6. Good Time Louis at $7.50. Star Lily and also Stormy Skies both at $9.50. $12 about Maddie Lou. I think we're up to you, Trent Oli, to kick it off.
Yeah, thanks for that. It's a nice tough one as well. But I thought this was a race that had a bit of speed in it, and I'm just going to go sort of away from that front line. I thought like Star Lily would push forward, Matty Lou can. Her Presence definitely will. Stormy Skies could go forward. Good Time Louis could have a crack as well. So because I thought that could happen, because of that, I'm happy to go with Relatively Armour. Inside of the back row, it's going to need a good drive from Madison Brown. There could possibly be the opportunity to come off early. I think You Better Follow Me might be angling back to go to the fence, and if she can punch through, get to a decent spot. I thought at the $6, it was the value. So happy to go with Relatively Armour on top. From the 4, her presence, I thought she could lead last week and run a race, but Loctay and Ryan Warwick had different ideas, held her out. I thought she was still pretty game in that effort. I don't think she can breeze and win this game, but if she could work her way to the front here, I think she'd be extremely hard to beat. So I put her in for second. For third, going with the 8, Stormy Skies, who's another one. I think in some ways she's a class of this field and can run a big race if it can get up into the right sort of spot. And that could be the difficulty, and that's why it is a double-figure price, but can be thereabouts. I've left out Wall Street Girl. She can obviously win. I just thought the price was a little bit short for her. I've thrown in Star Lily just because she never misses a play. She's always there. I've gone 10, 4, 8 and 2.
Beautiful. Glen?
Yeah, I'm with Relatively Armour too, Trent. Look, his form was fantastic. Needs some luck here. Clearly the draw's a bit awkward. The one, probably the early leader, and then looks maybe to sit Matty Lou in this class. What it sits on is going to be very important. Star Lily will want it, so will her presence want that lead. Stormy Skies, I think, will definitely be driven with some aggression here to get forward. Plenty of money, 21 to 950. Could create the pressure you're talking about, Trent. Good Time Lou will be put in the race as well, the other classy one. Relatively Armour for me. If it can get a nice clear run, good each way bet, 10 to win from 8, Stormy Skies. If it happened to work its way to the front, hard to beat, obviously. The 9, Good Time Louis, classy horse for this company. Can be driven a number of different ways. It might play out nicely for it. 10, 8, 9. Put the 4 in her presence, racing consistently well. Tricky little draw. 10, 8, 9, 4.
I thought if her presence was able to hold the horses to her outside, she'd probably be able to work onto the lead. I saw it the same way and thinking that Matty Lou is probably the early leader, and from there I think she'd probably look for a trail on one of the better chances, and that might be her presence. She was very good a couple of starts ago, beaten by Parakeet, but Parakeet is a classy horse when she's at her best, and I think she did still run well for second there. I've got Wall Street Girl in for second there. She was good in her win last start. She's been building back towards a win since returning from a spell. She's 4th up in this race. I think she's probably near peak fitness. There's going to be plenty of speed, and she's going to be perfectly suited sitting out the back and doing no work in the early stages. Good Time Louis, he's a horse with brilliant gate speed. If he was able to cross at the start, it'd certainly make things interesting. Given he has drawn gate 9, there's probably not a lot of quick beginners around him. I think there is some chance that he might be able to get across, and that would totally change the complexion of the race, and I think he'd nearly be the horse to beat if that played out. And I've got Matty Lou in for 4th, who is going to get a really soft run there on the pegs without having done too much work. 4, 5, 9, 1.
That's for Ollie. Glenn's with 10, 8, 9 and 4. Trent 10, 4, 8 and 2. Race 7. Race number 8. $1.16 Lincoln Lou's the favourite. $11 about Better Arcade. $12 Beat the Bank. $14 Overly Excited. So pretty simple, Glenn?
Should be. Yep. Very short price favourite. Clearly should be winning, and it's got the gate speed to cross them. If it didn't want to be driven that way, which I think it will be, it's got an explosive sprint. It'll be far too quick for these horses either way. Lincoln Lou on top. The trick here will be to find the placings for the exotics. I think Beat the Bank starting to get into its form. Obviously 4th to Bricky's Dream in a fast class race. I know it had the rail, but still a meritorious performance for this type of company. 28-4, 1-4, 27-9 home. And it's got gate speed as well. They may wish to use it and take the camp on Lincoln Lou. Sunshine Swift also gate speed there. Could get the rail. Terrific run last week, Sunshine Swift. Led and was very cheeky against the Iron Duke and Chivalry. The Chivalry form and Iron Duke form very strong now. Chivalry's gone on and just about pinched that free-for-all against Bricky's Dream the other week. So it's strong form for this company, and the 12 Fly the Finish could be running on. So I've gone Lincoln Lou to Beat the Bank, Sunshine Swift, Fly the Finish, 8, 6, 4 and 12.
The quote they bet earlier about Lincoln Lou was massive. I think he was $1.50 or $1.60, and that was a huge price. He was held up last start, nowhere to go, and he still looked to be travelling easily. So I think in this race he'll zip across. He's got brilliant gate speed, and from there he should just be winning. He's a classy horse, and it just looks a race for the minors. Pocket full of opals. She has reasonable gate speed, and she's really a horse that just grows a leg when she's on the rails, and I think she'll be on the rails here. If she was able to hold a spot early before taking the trail on Lincoln Lou, I certainly think she could run a good place at a decent place price. So I'm going to play it that way. Beat the bank. Probably can do things a number of ways in this race. He can be driven aggressively at the start and look to try and get across, or he can be sat up and run on late. I think he is well placed here, so has to be respected. And Franco Mecca, he's been much better his last few starts. He flashed into second a couple of runs ago and nearly took that race out, and ran well again last start. So he seems to be working back into some better form, and could certainly see him figuring from what's a pretty soft draw on paper. 8-1-6-11.
8-1-6-11. Trent?
Yeah, Lincoln Lou, I think, can cross, lead and win. Better Arcade, I thought, could be throw back the fence if it gets out at the right time. Be a really good place chance, and probably the danger. Overly excited. I don't know how he gets into it. Maybe he comes across with Lincoln Lou, or if Lincoln Lou does settle, he can go to the breeze and just hang on. He's just one of the classy horses. I've put him in there. And Beat the Bank, racing really consistently. Just been on the place getters last couple, but could be in the money here. 8, 10, 9 and 6.
All right, 2 races to go on the Gloucester Park preview. 4 minutes to get through them. Scratchings in race 9, 4 and 9. Fleur de Mar at
Marquis.
All right, French. Victor Wembanyama's half-sister. 3.10. And Maximum Rock, 3.30. Dark Eyes, $8 about Loctade. $12 about Grievous, Heavenly Wage, and Benji, the outsider of the field, at $16. Ollie.
Fleur de Marquis, she was huge earlier in the week. She launched off the gate. They cleared away her in the wild card, who's been scratched from this race, and she was still able to battle on and run second somehow. It was a huge effort, and I think off that effort, leading in this race, she's going to be incredibly hard to run down. So I put her firmly on top. I've got Loctay in for second, who is going to get that great run potentially on the leader's back, because there is no back row here. So I think she'll just fold straight back in behind the leader and get a great run from there. Dark Eyes, it's a pretty awful draw here, draw an 8, and it's a race that's probably not going to set up overly well, but certainly one of the classier horses in this race. And if they really did overdo it, I could see him running into it late. And Maximum Rock, it's a bit of an awkward draw whether he looks to stay off in the running line or go through back the pegs. Either way, he's going to need luck, but has to be respected. 1, 2, 8, 3.
Trent.
Same horses. Fleur de Marquis, really liked her effort on Tuesday, and she showed good gate speed on occasion. She tried well, I think it was against Captain Ravishing earlier on, so she was primed for a good campaign. Just has another draw. Now she gets it. I think she's extremely hard to beat. The query will be if she backs up from that run. So the wild card obviously hasn't. That's the query. It was a very tough run, but clearly on top for me. Dark Eyes is the class. I preferred Dark Eyes when Quinton was in the race, because they would have been making a move together. Now it's going to be harder for Dark Eyes, but definitely one of the classier types. The 3, Maximum Rock. It led and had its chance 2 starts ago and beaten by Quinton. Might go better with a sit. Should be get a nice run handy. And Loctay, as Ollie mentions, really good place chance. 1, 8, 3 and 2.
Glen.
Yeah, look, Fleur de Marquis, it's hard to go past it on fact it's going to lead. It's going to be there nearly all the way. The only query, as you say, is how was it knocked around by the run? Seems to be a tough mare. Listening to Bianca Ascot's comments, she thinks it's thrived since the run and very confident. If we take that on face value, it'd be hard to beat. 1 to win. The classy one, Dark Eyes, definitely. The 8th to Tualoo in the 156-1 was very good. The 2,500 metres is good time, came off the track, ran very quick, sectionals coming wide. 1 from 8, that's the danger. 2, Loctay should tuck in here this time behind the leader, perfect draw. And 3, Maximum Rock, horse that might go better, just camped there, 1 run. 1, 8, 2 and 3.
That's for Glen. Ollie's with 1, 2, 8 and 3, and Trent's with 1, 8, 3 and 2, all with the same numbers. Race number 10 on the program, the final event. Short price favourite Amalfi Knight at $1.30. In Rare Air at $3.80. Waves of Fortune at $9.50. How do we play the last, Glen?
Yeah, look, this is a terrific race. Last race in the program. Some up-and-coming 2-year-olds here. I'm leading to a Melfi Knight, the favourite. Provided he behaves himself, does everything right. Seems to be on the right track now. It's obviously had some teething issues. Aidan's got him through all that. And I think it's going to be very hard to beat here. 5 to win, Melfi Knight. The early part, interesting. Final offer looks like the early leader. Last King of Cable might have a look at it. The breeze could be secured anyway by Last King of Cable if they don't want to drop to the rail, and they get the 1-1 with a Melfi Knight popping around, sitting outside final offer. In that case, that puts in rare air in an awkward sort of spot, and I thought that might be the tactics here. Otherwise, this classy horse, Melfi Knight, just works his way to the front, or it's in the breeze anyway, and I think it'll run a race from the breeze. 5 from 7 in rare air. Nice horse on the way up. The 1 final offer to run third, and the 2 Last King of Cable to run fourth. 5, 7, 1 and 2.
Shazam for me, exactly the same.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I see it pretty similar here. A Melfi Knight, I think, is a really high-quality horse. The final offer, going to get a great run from the draw there in rare, can do a bit of work in its races, but going to need to from the wide draw. And Last King of Cable is going to get a great run just behind the speed, and was a good winner there on Monday. 5, 1, 7, 2.
5, 1, 7 and 2 for Oli to go with Glen and Trent's 5, 7, 1 and 2. All right, gentlemen, best bets on the program, please. We'll start with you, Trent.
I'm going to go with Fleur de Marquis, and we'll have that for the team Oli. Race 9, number 1. And I did like Hillview Bond on an each-way basis, but he was $12. Now he's $5.50. So maybe wait for him to drift back out to a more reasonable quote. Race 3, number 12.
Beautiful.
I was also going to go with Fleur de Marquis, but for the team multi, I'll go with race 8, Lincoln Lou, number 8.
Lovely.
Team multi for me, 10-5 Melfi Knight. And I play the treble, a few shorties, 1-1 Artie by the Seaside, 8-8 Lincoln Lou into a Melfi Knight. Race 10, number 5. And each way bets tonight, Runkle Crunch, race 2, is it?
Race 2, yep, number 10.
10 each way, and 7-10 Relatively Armour each way. Waging tonight, 1-7 Official Rock, 5-6 Thompson Bay.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Happy punting.
Thank you.
Oli, Glen and Trent there with the Gloucester Park preview. We'll be out to a quick messages from our sponsors and then chasing winners not too far away.